In this video, we're going to give you a brief rundown on how you can add constraints onto objects into STK. Now, constraints can do all sorts of things and basically make it where there are limitations on that object. So a pretty common one that might be the case might be maybe you've only got a system or a site that is operated during the daylight hours for whatever reason. So we could go in and say that, hey, we can only access the site when it's in sunlight. We could go through, let's say that our ground facility here is one that is like that. So I can right click on it and I can go to properties. And what you're looking for is down here in constraints. And it's easy to initially get overwhelmed by all the different things that you can do, but it gives you an idea of, hey, there's a lot of constraints that you can add. Azimuth and elevation and range are the sorts of things that limit where it can see spatially, how far up or down. Elevation is a good one to make it where it's maybe at the bottom of some hills, that sort of thing. So it have to be at a certain elevation, little ways up above what we would normally consider the horizon. But I had mentioned one where it was daylight. So let's go to, we've got the basics here. That's a great one that gives you some good options on basically geometry, for want of a better term. With the sun, you can do all sorts of lighting limitations. So we could do lighting. When I check this box that says, hey, limit it where this thing only works when it's in direct sunlight, or when it's in penumbra, partial sunlight, or umbra, complete darkness. So you can go through and do lighting ones. You can also do temporal. You could do specifically intervals here. Click use and you can add an interval and actually type in, okay, this site only runs on Mondays, so I'm going to go through and actually identify the Mondays in our scenario, what times it would be open. So I could click add, or you can even load and import ones from external sources. There are a lot of other options that go in here, but the main ones that we'll be seeing in our scenarios are probably going to be within the first couple of them. But feel free to take a look at other constraints that you might have in there. So kind of key ones are geometries, where it has to be directly above you, for instance, or in a small angle. You could get that programmed in with the azimuth and elevation. How far away it can operate. You could put in range. And then things like lighting or time access. But this is where you can access constraints and actually add or see that constraints have been put in, as they many times are in our pre-made scenarios.